welcome to episode 1 of Cast Oblivion. I am your co-host, Carter Barton, and I am joined by my compatriot, White Lightning, Zach.
So,
how are you doing today, man?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm excited to talk about this. I feel like, again, we talked about this on the first episode. Like, we've been building to this for a while, and it's just going to be fun to, like, sit down, talk Flesh and Blood once a week, once every other week, whatever it looks like for our schedules. There's lots of things for us to dive into.
Yeah, so basic topic today is going to be the state of the game Pre-Omens of the Third Age, the set that's coming out in a month and a half, 2 months or so right now.
I think it's a month. I think it's end of May.
I think you might be right, man. I think I blinked, and soon we're going to be on Gem Pack 5. So
yeah, I think pre-release weekend is the 22nd, 23rd. So
yeah,
that's 2-3 weeks away, and then release is May 29th.
That's crazy.
And then 2 weeks after that is we're going to be at US Nats hanging out, which will be fun. So
yeah,
it moves fast. Like we're 6 weeks out from Nats, but that we can get into the Nats conversation a little bit later. But we got a couple things to touch on before we get to that.
Yep. So we'll start off the episode. Again, we're new to this whole thing somewhat, so we wanted to start talking each episode about our weeks in Flesh and Blood. What we doing? What we playing? Zach, how about you? You want to start?
Yeah, I just have one armor I can consistently make right now. My spring's pretty chaotic and busy, but I do make time on my Tuesday nights, go out my local armory, and I've just been on the let's have as much fun with Acilio as possible train. Channel's going away, Somersault's going away, but I really don't care about Somersault. Somersault needs to go. That's a different point entirely. Mm-hmm. But going all spell Acilio is a lot of fun, especially when people are just like, I brought AB1. I'm like, oh, so you're dead. You're just gonna die. I'll figure it out later. You just die, and you're obviously running Storm Striders, and it's like, oh, here's a burn bear for 7, 8. If you play multiple lightning cards, things like that, get the discounted sigils. There's a lot more pitching involved, so you can keep channels around a little bit longer than you can in standard Acilio. It's fun.
Yeah.
It's fun. Like I've been really enjoying the deck, which gets me excited for obviously new Acilio with a lot more tools going to be available to us. How that arcane works, how that hero is going to play out, is going to be interesting. But yeah, I think I went 2-1. I lost to a Jarl that blew up my Storm Striders, but I responded to them blowing up my Storm Striders by activating Storm Striders. So I'm just like, okay. Anyways, didn't matter too much, but I just never had the hands that kind of clicked. One of the things with the way that I build that deck is Future Sight with a Sonic Boom and Arsenal is pretty strong, and then you send the Sonic Boom, what's on top,
okay,
and then you banish that thing and you send it again. So I sent a Sonic Boom for 7 at one point, and I knew I had a Comet Storm Shock on top, and I banished that, and then I played the melded Comet Storm Shock for free.
That's awesome.
So like a bunch of other things, and then like I strike twice on the top of that.
Dude, what the heck? You have to send me this list. I haven't seen this yet.
Oh, I haven't sent this to you.
No.
I feel okay. It's a lot of fun. And the other thing, I somehow just happen to have like my Acilio deck is blinked out. My normal Acilio deck, the Gone and Flash combo deck, fully blinked out. All the fun things there. I somehow also just have a fully blinked out version of this deck too, just because I own like every Rainbow Foil Wizard card. So I was like, oh well. Anyways, this deck is also shiny, and I'm a degenerate, so that's always fun to do and have. Yeah.
Nice. That sounds like a fun time. Compendium. Yeah. I really do like those sigils that opt. I don't think we've seen them to their full potential yet. Obviously, because Kano, Kano's gone, and that's probably be the hero that used them the most, or used them the best, or whatever.
I mean, there's potential for Blaze. I think that's because you can make counters, so you can, do the banish hero ability thing. Mm-hmm. But I think Kano was probably the hero that could have abused it the most, and it's a good thing he's gone.
Yeah. I do think it is a good thing he is gone. So, no, it's cool to see other Acilio builds, since we've kind of been seeing the combo list since a month or two after his original release, and it sounds like a lot of fun though. I don't know.
Oh yeah,
it's the armory's supposed to be.
Yeah, I mean, like that's it's supposed to be fun on the armory. Yeah, we don't always need to be competitively grinding.
Yeah, true. All right, so we're recording this on a Saturday night. So since last episode, I had, oh goodness, I had a skirmish last Sunday. I played Briar. We had 13 people there, so a little bit, somewhat small. We were cut top four. I squeaked in fourth seed with 3-1. And then I beat an Aurora, and then I placed second to an Icelander. A little bit unlucky. I played an unconventional Briar list that I brewed the night or two beforehand. I named it Big Briar, and it was.
Is this the Slogism one you told me
about? Yes.
Oh, so my gosh.
It is a very much 3-for-7 oriented list. You were trying to use your Earth embodiment to eke as much value as possible. Pretty much every single blue in your deck is a 3-block non-attack action card. So the majority of hands, you want to be able to block with 2 cards for 4 each, and then you want to swing a 3-for-7 and refresh the embodiment. That's the entire point of the list. It is just very value-oriented. I lost to Evalda in the Swiss. Pretty tight game, honestly. I got them down to 3, and then I died to Dominate with Xaxes. And then the Icelander, I drew. I had a red Bramble Spark that got interrupted by a Frostbite mixed with the you have to either pay 1 or discard a card. So if it's any other, just a single Frostbite, I can play around it. But the fact that it was 2 resources taxed was just too much. So I had 1 turn early on that just kind of got bricked. And then the hand after I drew 4 reds, which granted, they sent 6 Arcane at me or whatever.
Yeah.
But I had the Arcane Polarity in that hand, so it wasn't as bad as it could have been, but is what it is. I can hear you typing.
Yeah.
No. Okay. But anyways, you can tell we're professionals here. And then today's Armory. I played Puffin. It's the deck I'm definitely looking at for U.S. Nationals. You've
been on this deck for a while, right?
I've been on a lot of decks for a while, and I continually keep choosing decks that are not top 10. But I've had success with this deck. I placed second at a Road to Nationals to qualify for U.S. Nats. So I think it is only fitting that the deck that I play at Nationals could potentially be Puffin. And we'll dive into this in a little bit here, but if the meta doesn't change very much, I think Puffin is very much a real dark horse deck, or at least the build that I have. So yeah, I don't know. I've just been enjoying Armories. We're getting closer to summer. I'm hoping we're getting some better weather around the corner, but Armories are just an excuse for me on the weekends to see my friends and hang out right now. Nationals is the next big thing for me, so that's in 2 months or so. And with Omens being a set that is coming out 2 weeks before U.S. Nationals, it's not like we can really tell what the meta is going to be heading into Nationals. We can only really take a guess. So, speaking of which, today's episode, the state of the game, Pre-Omens. So, I think it's a good topic to kind of start off this next month or 2 of episodes. Heading into Omens, heading into Nationals. We're kind of in a lull in the game right now. Not a huge one or anything. It's nothing like the lull that's after the World Championships around November, December, where really there's nothing going on. Obviously, there's still some callings. Obviously, there's still events being won and some heroes that are close to living legend. However, we have a set coming around the corner, and of course, it's placed right before Nationals. Maybe not.
They always do that, though.
Yeah.
It's better than we have 2 weeks rather than what was it last year at US Nats was
weekend
for it was
weekend of or weekend after.
I think it was weekend of. It had because everyone was getting hyper because that's when they changed the policy for if you pre-order something you can buy a product at pre-release.
Yes,
but it's not legal until the set release date. I like that policy. I know for myself I have guys locally, and we want to be testing for drafting.
Yep.
I'm not going to be doing any drafting. I'm just doing side events, grinding at Nats. I know you are obviously playing in that, so little different approaches.
Mm-hmm.
But again, I think it's an opportunity to learn, figure something out, and get comfortable with that. I also feel like the U.S. Nats scene always kind of sets the bar for like something new. Like we saw, what was it, 2 years ago at Minneapolis, Zen kind of take over. We saw kind of that first inklings of Gravy being a real deck last year at US Nats. Like, so it kind of sets the stage for like what national season's going to look like, which is I think it's my favorite season of the year. Like, there's just always something exciting going on, and there's lots of events, but like that's future. Right now, it's, there's the lull. Like, we have maybe, I think, 2 call-ins before Omens comes out. We just finished a pro tour. Like, I think kind of what we're talking about with our armories, like we're just showing up having fun. And I think that there's a lot of people doing that. And I think a lot of people kind of like Omen's waiting room, for the lack of a better term, to just kind of this like, okay, when do we get to see all the cards? When do we kind of figure out how these heroes go? What expansion slots are there? Like, what's the meta going to shift and look like? And I think that's always an exciting time.
Yeah, it's weird because supposedly we're going to get the 3rd Monarch set to end the year. Like, that is a pretty safe bet. We've been told repeatedly it would come in 2026. We've already had 2 sets this year, with the Omens being the 2nd.
Hey, Master Pack Warrior is a set too.
Surely. But an actual, a technical set, 20, I believe?
Yep.
It's crazy how time flies. But point being, you think Omens would be kind of a small blip heading into supposed to be the climactic set of Monarch 1, Dust Till Dawn, and then you're supposed to have Monarch 3.
I mean, Dust Till Dawn wasn't really like exciting. I mean, it was exciting, but it wasn't exciting.
Story-wise, right?
Oh,
like,
yeah. From a lore point of view, like, I feel like the biggest lore draw in this game is the War of the Monarch, which obviously Monarch 1, Dust Till Dawn, and hopefully some type of conclusion in set 20. And then whatever's happening in Volcor with Arachne killing the Emperor.
Yeah.
And then I think on a certain level, all the stuff that's been happening in Aria ties into the War of the Monarch with Aurora and Acilio.
Yeah.
So that tails in, but all the stuff happening, Deathmatch Arena, KO doing whatever he's doing, or Kasai even to a degree, it's just kind of disjointed stories. But I think there is maybe there's not a grand story to tell in the lore of Flesh and Blood. Now we're talking about lore of Flesh and Blood, so I don't know. We're professionals. But the grand story of the lore in Flesh and Blood does not need to be linear in that way. You can tell multiple stories and multiple regional conflicts and still be engrossed in the game, and I think that's a fun thing.
But it's interesting, right? Because like Omens is bringing a new Lightning Runeblade. Aurora famously was one of the fastest heroes to Living Legend. Also had an army deck at the very end of her lifespan that kind of just put the final nail in the coffin. You had a ton of new players who were getting into the game for aesthetic reasons. Like, Lightning Runeblade cards are beautiful. The colors pop. Cards just
lightning
look
cards
good.
In general.
Yeah, lightning cards in general. They look good. So this is a set that's bringing Aurora back. We're getting a second Acilio. We already have a current Acilio who's legal. And then we're also getting a Lightning Illusionist, which is like the first time ever. So this set, while it kind of seems, a little bit of a blip comparison-wise, you would think, compared to this supposed to be like the big set 20, right? Like, that's a milestone in itself. It's also supposed to be a climactic set for like lore reasons. We have no clue what to expect with it. You'd think that Third Age Omens of the Third Age.
Oh, for some reason I'm thinking Compendium of the Third Age. I'm like, what?
No. You already had that. Yes, but what about Second Compendium?
Yeah.
You think this set wouldn't have that much hype, but I've seen a lot. People are excited for it. People are excited for the new heroes. People are excited for new cards. Some spoilers have already started coming out, and we'll talk about those at the end of the episode. But the state of the meta right now is very much a waiting game, right? And that's perfectly fine. Speaking of which, the meta right now, we got decks like Victor. We have decks like Acilio, Marionette, Dash.io. We have Huntsman. On the fringes, or maybe not necessarily the fringes, but pretty much kind of like depending on the weekend of play, you have higher densities of Syndra, Gravy, Kasai, Vincent, Prism, and a couple other Dark Horse decks.
Yeah.
It's a very healthy metagame right now. Decks are not doing insane busted things with an asterisk, because there's a few decks that are doing very bonkers, I'm going to value you out of the game and you can't really do much about it. However, with that being said, it is very much a metagame of play what you love to play, and if you're good at it, you can win games.
Yep. I mean, I think that carries true a lot it's definitely true at the Armory level. But even more so at like the RTN and ProQuest level, a meta like this is something I would love if there was a ProQuest and RTN season actively going on. Yeah. Like I think the room would be like 1 or 2, maybe 3 heroes max. 3 players on a specific hero. Like I think we go way back to like ProQuest 1 season, if you remember that. Like right after Everfest dropped, so I think that was, and it was like Starvo, Chain, a couple Prisms, and maybe Dash.IE. Like that was the room. Mm-hmm. Maybe some Lexi, because she had the ice in there, but to slow people down. But like we're way past that as a game, and we talked a little bit before we got on this, but like the health of the game, like I think is a good thing that we have this opportunity for people to play what they enjoy and what they like. You know, fatigue strategies, you can say whatever you want about them, but people do enjoy sometimes that game plan and that type of methodical planning out, getting yourself in that position to win a game by fatigue, whether that's fatigue by damage or just running your opponent out of threats or something else in between. Like those play styles are viable, and that's good for the health of a game. If the game was just, you know, all aggro, like that's not enjoyable. I mean, like we had issues with Mistfall meta, if you remember that. It was just like, here's Zen doing just rapid broken thing, and that was pretty much meta.
Well, because it was Zen and Viserai, which are just very much the two, like, I'm going to kill you before you get to do anything decks. And then on the very opposite end of the spectrum, you had New and Enigma, which were very much like, okay, I'm gonna try and get the game state to a point where like I win through control. This meta is very wide open. Your sideboard can 100% either win or lose you games depending on the matchups you expect to see. If you're a good enough player and you understand your win conditions in certain matchups, you can eke out extra percentage points compared to other players. You got people like Eugene who are like on Rhinar, absolutely juicing people because he just understands, okay, well, I have this matchup. This is exactly my game plan that I need to do. And I most likely have probably 100 more games into this matchup than my opponent because my opponent is not testing into Rhinar. You have a ton of players who have been popping up in top 8s with stuff like Teklevasen, Vincent, very like specialist decks, right? Like Vincent's not an easy deck to pick up. Teklevasen's not an easy deck to pick up. Their play patterns are not necessarily intuitive. They're very unintuitive. And as a result, new players who pick these decks up oftentimes have a below 50% win rate. However, once you start getting to these callings where people are testing into the Victors, the Marionettes, the Dios, people aren't testing into Rhinar. People aren't really testing into even necessarily Prism or Vincent, right? Like they'll maybe get a few games in because there've been a few top 8s. But like I don't know anyone who's testing into Teklevasen unless it's crazy people. And if they are, then it's someone in their play group's like, okay, well, I'm going to play Teklevasen, and then everyone has to suffer alongside them as they test into it. So it's
that's what, from what I've gathered with people I know, like that's what it feels like most of the time.
Yeah,
it's like,
and that's
I
perfectly
play Teklo, and you learn it on a certain level, and you go from there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so you know, we have a very healthy metagame spread. Numerous heroes are being represented in the 5 to 15% range of playing fields, which is awesome. Silver Age, it's pretty all right. I think the recent bans did pretty well, so it's been cool to see that with like the Pro Tour that being the second format represented. But, CC is the big one that everyone's thinking about and focusing on as we head into Nationals. Victor, Prism, Dash.io, and Syndra are all within swinging distance of Living Legend. I believe they're all above 800 points right now, and I believe Victor and Prism primarily are the two that could get there. Dio is also definitely in the conversation.
Yeah. I mean, and those decks have, Victor's been out 2+ years, has always kind of performed well. I think, again, Victor is one of those decks that right now maybe talk about it as like values out of a game. Like they can set up God knows how many mites, soul generation, things like that, and just put themselves in a position where it's just like, yeah, you can hold on to your hand, you can take, I don't know, let's say 17 damage or whatever it is, but like you can't send something back that gets me out of this such a positive plus position to win the game. They're kind of the default way to, I play Acilio, so the default way to kill Victor is you have to combo them. There's some decks where you can just kind of value out and just be like, okay, I'm just gonna sequence in a way or play in a way where that doesn't happen, and it's understanding those type of things is important. I think, again, like the wider the meta gets, there's a bell curve of like if the meta is super narrow, it's not enjoyable. If the meta is way too wide, it's also not enjoyable because you're just like, what am I prepping for? What can I expect to see in a room? That's fine for armories because it's armories and people are just having fun with their friends. But like there's a nice sweet spot in the middle where it's like, there's 4 or 5 decks that you can be like, yeah, I need to build my deck to beat Mario, Acilio, Victor, and maybe you give up another matchup and you can feel successful at that. Or maybe you just go like, hey, I'm going to play Mario. My goal is just to disrupt everybody. If they can kill me through some other means, good for them. But like you can set the tempo in that way, and I think we're in that meta right now where we're allowing that, which is, I think, again, good for the health of the game. I think we've also seen similar things with Sage with the week 1 skirmish results are out. There was a lot of Iras winning. That wasn't a lot of fun to see. Sometimes playing against Ira and seeing Ira isn't the most enjoyable. I think, like, as weird as it is to say, like, before we had that first wave of bans for Sage, like, yes, Briar was dominating, and Burn Up Shock is good card, and Lightning Press is good card. Like, I think there were multiple aggro decks that could do multiple different things, and I think that's exciting. And we're still playing around with that format, and obviously there's going to be some BNRs. Obviously there's going to be the community vote. That's going to shift things. That's going to change things. There's going to be a couple new Sage decks, pre-con decks released. Bolden's getting a Blaze, and then Bolton gets a Raiden at rare, which again allows him to like actually play the game, and not just be a great X desk like all the other warriors. So again, the health of the game is like things are shifting and changing. I think LSS, while sometimes can look like they're doing things a little slow, like they're doing it intentionally. Like there's reasonings behind the bans, and we can probably talk about the bans coming right before Omens comes out. We're seeing 4 lightning cards go. We're seeing Skyward Serenade, which was the Aurora spec from their Armory deck.
Misprance.
We're seeing Volzar, which is Acilio's weapon, which is just whack on a certain level. We're seeing Somersault Gold, which, well, it should. And then we've seen Channel Lightning Valley, which to me says like, hey, Channel Lightning Valley may be stuck a turn. If you're lucky to for Aurora, Acilio, it's harder to keep that same channel around with multiple counters. You can bounce it back with Blast Oblivion and things like that. So I think they're playing around with some. They're recognizing a little bit early, saying, "Hey, these things could be problematic. Let's get them out so we don't have a bad format, and things like that." So again, I think LSS, the way they communicate, the way they talk about bans, how they incorporate bans, is always for the health of the game, and I think the game does feel healthy. New players are coming in. Sage is really good for that, and I think also like it's a healthy time to pick up a deck and play CC and enjoy what you're doing, especially in one of these off-season metas. When Nats comes around, maybe we have a different conversation, but I'm hoping, just because we're seeing 3 lightning heroes that are usually more aggro based decks, like maybe that shifts the meta in some type of way, then we see a couple things change here and there. But I don't know, everything feels healthy.
Yeah. So we have a new Acilio, we have the return of Aurora, and we have Ziggy, who's kind of sitting over on like this weird corner island where we don't really know whether or not he is going to be either a nuclear weapon or a coughing baby. I
He's both
am,
until we open the box.
dude. It's like Schrodinger's illusionist right now, man. Like everyone looked at Enigma when she originally was spoiled, and they're like, okay, like I can see where this would be good, and then like Muragai got spoiled, and everyone's like, okay, I see.
I guess we die.
Yeah, I see where this is broken. Obviously, it's early days. We haven't seen very many cards from their card pools, and especially we haven't really seen very many Majestics, which oftentimes are the reason to play some of these
play
decks,
arounds,
right?
Yeah.
In terms of what you and I are expecting heading into national season, on whether or not these three heroes are going to have any relevance to the meta, I think that Aurora, even without knowing any other cards besides what we've seen so far, already has the makings of like a solid high B tier aggro deck. 0 for 4s, value train, you get some go again via some embodiment of lightning production. Your weapon costs 0, so it's always just like a decent finisher. And you also have ways to end games using like lightning press and other ways like that. You also split damage. It's fairly strong. Acilio.
You have access to Arc Lightning, which can give things go again, so it allows that extra link wide, which is always, again, we talk about aggro decks, and you kind of mentioned just like that ability to go a little extra wide. Like, I agree with you. Like, Aurora is going to be prevalent during that season. It's just a matter of where she is prevalent. But yeah, Acilio.
Yeah, Swolcilio. Dude's huge. Gain 2 extra health. Huge.
I know. It's muscles.
Lore wise is pretty cool. Aurora's original sword, Starfall, getting used to like reconstruct Acilio, which is pretty cool lore. It's also a good reason to like tie in with like the living legend of a weapon, right? Where it's like, well, why isn't Starfall legal anymore? It's in the story, it's just gone. Cool. From what I've seen, I think New Acilio has some pretty cool play patterns, with some of the commons and rares that we've seen, being able to like efficiently cost curve a turn where like your hero ability costs 1, it produces a ponder, you get to do some shenanigans where you get to like play instance back. Like, it seems very value oriented, almost like a counter burn strategy in other card games where it's like you play permission effects that stop your opponent from doing crazy stuff, but then in return you are also like directly going after their life total to try and end the game. I'm in for it. I think it's cool.
Yeah. Same. I think there's a lot of, like you mentioned it with the cost curve. I think that the thing that all three of these heroes are going to be interesting when they build around and how they play and things like that is, what does their cost curve actively look like? Because Aurora's hero ability costs 2, and it costs a lightning flow to just make an embodiment.
Mm-hmm.
Not, on its face, I don't think you want to pay 2 to make an embodiment. Well, maybe you do, depending on things. But like her ability to do it with her whole old hero ability was just so much smoother that I created so much more efficiency. But she had so much go again in that deck anyway. She didn't necessarily always need that. So I think it will be interesting to see how those decks curve out, for the lack of a better term. I think Acilio's got some very interesting things available to him. Again, but I think Acilio is going to be pretty reliant on those lightning flows because he needs those for destruction of hero ability. So it'll be interesting how he builds around. So I think we're going to see a spectrum of, I think Aurora is going to probably care about lightning flows a little bit less. I think Acilio is going to care about him a little bit more. And then we have Schrodinger's illusionist, who I have no idea what she's gonna like what Ziggy's gonna want. Like, it's
so what's your initial take on Ziggy with the cards we've seen?
I think they're cool. I think it looks like a combo deck that's not like a one turn kill blow you up combo deck, and I think that's super exciting because I don't think we've necessarily ever seen that in Flesh and Blood.
As far as illusionists a lot of the time are like, I'm gonna have one really big turn and then I'm just gonna run away with the game.
Yep.
Right.
But maybe on a certain level, like, I don't know, I think there's some interesting cards. I think I'm excited to play Ziggy, and we're gonna see how that goes. But I really enjoyed Prism. I played Illusionist, but Dromai wasn't my thing, and Enigma wasn't my thing. So it's just like, I think the Illusionist playstyle is pretty different per Illusionist, which I think is something we've never seen before. And I think it's also really hard to figure out what is Ziggy actually going to be doing, because illusionists as classes, as heroes, are really kind of siloed into their talent.
Correct. Yeah.
Talented illusionist cards. And I think, Prism plays light illusionist cards. Enigma kind of played a little bit more generics, but Dromai played a lot of draconic and draconic illusionist cards, obviously being dragons. So that there's that thing, and we haven't really seen the lightning illusionist cards, like the common and rares. And I feel like that's going to be more like playstyle identity stuff. I think Ziggy's Majestics are just going to be like lights out cool.
Yeah, it's interesting, right? I have a feeling that a lot of the cards that we're seeing banned from Lightning are probably covering the base of either Ziggy or Acilio. Obviously, Serenade is hitting Aurora and making that just like less of a combination. That card was broken, and it was broken because of an accidental misprint, right? In that it was supposed to have giving it go again is a mode. Turns out, if it just has go again, it was kind of broken. Whatever. I'm excited to see who breaks these decks heading into Nationals. We've had it, 2 years in a row at this point, where we've had very high breakout decks of US Nationals. Gravy Bones was last year. Zen the year previous. Granted, Zen was kind of out for like a couple months before Nationals at that point, so it wasn't necessarily
for like a month. I feel like it wasn't, or maybe 2 or 3 weeks. Like it wasn't a long period of time. But I think also like that's a reflection of the player base being, I think, just smarter with deck building and recognizing like sometimes I think, if there's an unknown deck, you can just like pour all your resources into this, like, how do I make it be the broken thing, just like pure all the way in. I think that's what Zen initially was. I think when Zen left and LL'd, I think Zen was pretty healthy. It was a cool hero.
I don't know about that.
But we had all the trauma of the previous 900 points that Zen ripped through LL with, that kind of made us be like, well, is he? But that's a different point.
Yeah. Point being, though, heading into national season, if you could compare it to last year's Nationals meta in the state of the game, would you say that you are either less optimistic or more optimistic for the quality of the state of the game?
I think I'm more optimistic.
I am too.
Yeah, I think going into Nats last year, and just like I feel like the way some of the gravy bands were handled and all that felt,
well, you had none at that point, right? Because you had none. You had Gravy Bones, who was fresh off the block. You had Syndra at full power with Brandon Cinderclaw. You had 2 Earth Heroes, Florian and Verdance. Florian was kind of on a downturn at that point, but Verdance was very strong. Acilio was kind of one of your dark horse decks. And then I think Prism was up there too. So
Prism could combat Syndra pretty well.
Yeah, you kind of had this. Again, I just don't think it was as interesting of a meta as we currently have.
Yes.
And judging on the fact that we're only getting 3 new heroes heading into national season this year, we have a couple of heroes who are close to Living Legends, so maybe that kind of throws a wrench in the schemes of like, okay, well, what happens if Victor Living Legends? Does a deck step in and play that Guardian slot? If not, does that mean some other deck is able to sneak in and change things up? If we went into Nationals right now with the current heroes we have legal in our current meta, and you just added Ziggy, Acilio, and Aurora, I think we're in for a very healthy, quality national season where every single week you check your phone and you see in like Latvia, Olivia wins it. The next week you check in, it's like, oh, there was like a Ziggy in Germany or something stupid, right? Like,
yeah,
I think we're in for a very excellent summer.
Yeah, that's a fair way to put it. And I think one of the things that was kind of maybe sour about High Seas meta, it was just like gravy. Like, Puffin didn't exist, and Marlin was like, why? Like that wasn't, I think, an enjoyable release experience as a whole, I think it feels like it's, I don't know, it just feels exciting.
Mm-hmm.
We've talked on it. Like, Aurora's a fan favorite hero. Ziggy's doing something interesting, and Acilio, the counterbird strategy you're doing, like, that's very interactive. And I think people gravitate towards those type of things, and they want to play those type of decks. I don't think a lot of people just want to play the sit down, draw 4 cards, puke out some damage, do whatever,
Yeah.
win game. It's just like there's none of that higher level enjoyment. And I think especially for Flesh and Blood players, and I think that's why, like, the proactiveness of saying, hey, we're banning these 6-7 cards,
Mm-hmm.
makes me see like, hey, LSS, maybe they're like, hey, I want to say they made a mistake in the design of these new heroes, but they're like, hey, we're recognizing like what we want the game to be, and we're banning these now. We'll tell you the reasons why later, or maybe they don't have to. Like, they don't think they need to, but like, I think that transparency of recognizing like, hey, look, it was the same thing with the book burning. It's just like, hey, look, Art of War with a ephemeral crouching tiger, probably not the design space we wanted initially in 2020. Was that when Crucible came out, technically?
Yeah, sometime around then.
So, 4 years later, some cards need to be sunsetted, and that's okay.
Yeah, I think it shows a very high level of maturity for the designers at LSS when they're aware of the faults of the game, and instead of just power creeping everything to be on a power level of these like very prevalent cards in the game's history, that it is healthier for the game for them to sunset these cards and then be able to design at a new cornerstone of the game, right? Like, for my argument's sake, like Volzar, Channel Lightning Valley, and Somersault, I would argue, are all getting hit because they're cards that essentially take that design space of, I have 4 cards, you have 4 cards, and we just kind of clash turn to turn, right? Those are all cards that can kind of break that on an axis. Volzar, you go super tall with a Blast of Arcane, and your opponent can't Arcane Barrier all of it. Somersault, you get to return 2 cards back to your hand. It's a 1-card 6 a lot of the time. You can do some pretty gross stuff with it, and then if you have tempo, it's still great. And then even Channel, right? Like, Channel is probably the most clear one, is if you stick around for a couple turns and you draw 2 cards of Channel on your opponent, and you have 3 channels in your deck, you have essentially like 6 turns where you have like an extra card.
Well, I think even the other side, it's like, I have a channel on the board and I force you to block this so you don't let me get that plus card advantage. I'm now taking away your offensive output.
Yeah.
Like it works on a certain defensive access too, which is,
weird to say.
Yeah. Like it's a card that's like almost good defensively because it's like, yeah, I demand something, and also because Aurora and Acilio, more so than Ziggy, because we just don't know the card pool with Ziggy, is, they have access to 0-cost shocks, or a 1-cost shock, playing a channel and then shocking, and then drawing up and then resetting like your defense on your opponent's turn, and then setting things up again and doing more damage and getting like multiple cards. Like, there's situations where you have a channel out for 3 turns. Let's say you get channel, shock, draw a card. On your turn, attack with something, draw a card off the channel, do whatever. The next turn, you do more shock damage, drawing additional cards.
Yeah.
You do 3 cards off of pitching 1 card, playing the channel. Like,
yeah,
it created a situation, and it looks like there's a lot more instant interaction for all 3 of these heroes than we've seen than Aurora and Acilio had previously. Mainly was just Acilio, Aurora tangentially. Access to being able to get the multiple value of that channel on both turns, and I think that's another thing that's like, you can't have that. Like, it takes away. It's an unfair thing. Granted, your deck should be able to do an unfair thing.
Yes.
It should not be able to do that type of unfair thing.
Yeah, these cards are getting hit for a reason, and I trust Legend Story Studios to do the right thing in the best interest of having a healthy Classic Constructed metagame heading into Nationals. I think Gravy Bones and High Seas releasing last year, a week or the week of Nationals, Not only did people have to scramble to find cards, but I don't think people had enough time to brew. This time around, I think it's a sweet spot. 2 to 3 weeks of being able to know all the cards in the set and brew accordingly, as well as know which heroes are going to be legal for Nationals, I think is going to be a very healthy metagame. It's going to result in some very entertaining live streams, live play, and winners of national events. It's going to be cool.
Yeah.
So I'm very excited. So, in conclusion, I would argue
Flesh and Blood, good game. Play more Flesh and Blood. Game healthy.
Yes, but in terms of state of the game, Pre-Omens, we're in a sweet spot right now. Compendium introduced a lot of different ways to play some heroes in different angles. A lot of the game's kind of broken heroes have been gone for a little bit now. We still have a few at the top that are doing some crazy stuff. But in general, I would say that the state of the game right now is a great place both for experienced players to play competitively, as well as for new players to get into the game at both the armory level and kind of dipping their toes into both skirmishes and upcoming ProQuests and RTNs. So
100%.
So
I agree with that. With all that said, excitement stuff.
Yes. Next week,
you want to get started, or you want me to get started?
Probably you will start here, but I'll explain this real quick. Zach and I did want to talk about spoilers for Omens. However, I think it would be more apt to dedicate an episode of the podcast to going over like our top cards of Omens. We don't have everything yet, notably, but we have enough to pick a little of our favorite pieces out. Each of us have chosen one card that has been spoiled up to this point to talk about. If you'd like to begin, you are absolutely free to do so.
Yeah.
We
So I'm
can
going
end
with
the episode off there. So
yeah, I'm going with the Lightning Wizard instant, the Majestic we saw. I believe it was Wednesday. So Echo Flash. It's a yellow 1 cost. The text is deal 1 arcane to target hero. Cool. It's a 1 cost shock. Sounds pretty good. Also, when this is put into your graveyard from anywhere, your hero deals 1 arcane to target hero. So this works really, really well off of Cilio's hero ability. Of you can be able to pay 1, send this to grave. It goes to grave. You make a ponder. It deals 1 arcane. You can then activate new Volzar, which cares if an instant's been gone to the graveyard. So you deal 1 arcane. You send 2 arcane. Cool. And then it goes back to graveyard. You deal another 1 arcane.
Yeah.
Like, that's kind of cool. And it also, like, there's some interesting synergies. I think we're going to see more of these. Like, so there's Beckoning Brilliance, which is a 0 for 4 lightning card. It's a generic, just 0 for 4. Only comes in red, so it feels very similar to Blast to Oblivion to me. Yeah. Because it's also in the rare slot. But it also says your next when this attacks, the next instant you play this chain link costs 1 less. So you can send this, a Cilio hero ability, send Echo Flash to the grave, and then send Echo Flash for free. And if you say maybe have another 2 cost instant or something else in hand, you can send that, and again, it works pretty well with that cost curve. Yes. So that's a card I'm super excited about. Beckoning Brilliance, the art on that's fantastic. Now I'm talking about a different card, but those 2 cards paired together, it creates like a little mini combo, and I think maybe we're going to see a little bit more mini combos or playing in sequences in unique ways with these heroes. And I'm the Cilio guy, so I'm excited obviously for more Lightning Wizard. But I think Echo Flash as a card I think is just a cool design space. You can it's a 1 card 4. Not the best thing, but it's split multiple pings of damage and things like that as well. So
yeah, it's weird, right? Because the first thing I saw when I saw that card is that I can play Call to the Grave in my Lightning Hero, Wizard, and all of a sudden my Call to the Grave pings my opponent for 1 now. This is probably the worst usage of this card, but this is the axes that I think on. I love when maths. When a hero has a nice cost curve where you pitch 1 blue and that pays for the whole turn, it feels so good. And then when you don't draw that blue, it's like, okay, well, why did I even play this deck? But the point being is Flesh and Blood feels good to play mathematically, right? It's really cool when strategies like that come together and it's like, okay, cool. this reducing my next thing by 1 allows me to pitch a blue. The extra resources now go into like a 2 cost, so like the perfect hand would be like XYZ. Very cool. I'm excited for you. I'm interested to see if there's some cards printed for New Acilio that like benefit pinging multiple times in the same turn. I would not be surprised if we get some weird like Anthem effects, but who knows?
I haven't even thought about that. I know there's a couple of like amp effects that we've seen that care about destroying lightning flows, which is an interesting way to deal with amp to make it more interactive or setup wise, which is I think good. But I think it's gonna be interesting to see again the whole suite of cards, and we'll talk about all of that once it gets out and gets set. So
Zach, aren't you gonna ask me what card I'm excited about?
I was about to ask you, but then I got distracted talking about wizard cards. What are you excited about, Carter?
All right, so here's the thing, right? We spent this entire episode talking about lightning heroes. Screw lightning heroes. I don't need them. I got my stupid lion claw maul.
I knew you were. I thought for a second. I thought you were going to talk about the Aurora card, and then like, no, you're going to talk about your stupid thing for Elias.
Dude, it would have been the new Aurora card had it not been for this spoiled this morning. Lion Claw Maul is I believe it's a one-handed guardian or reviled guardian axe hammer. It's like 4 different things for some reason. First guardian axe, as far as I'm aware of. Pay 2, tap it, attack.
No. Pleiades' guitar is a hammer axe as well.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That actually adds a little bit of design space. Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Anyways, pay 2, tap it, attack. Base power of 1. Seems terrible. But if it has power greater than the base, it gets +1 extra damage. Or +1 extra power, and then when it hits, the crowd boos you. So this is pretty cool. Is it better than Titan's Fist? Probably not.
I mean, the on-hit boo, I feel like there's a reason to run it.
Yes. So initial thoughts about this card: it costs 2, so it opens up weird cost curves of where you can pay 1 resource into something and then swing with weapon afterwards. So there are a couple reviled cards that you're happy to pay 1 into and then follow up with your weapon. It's not terrible. The fact that it has on-hit boo, that's all right. You stack a damage for the next turn. If you have like a confidence on that turn, that's pretty good, right? Like I'd rather have the 1 damage on my confident attack than I would have it on my hammer swing. From like a Titan's Fist effect.
Yeah.
The interesting part about this card though is that Titan's Fist does restrict your blue pool to being a lot of like 3 or greater costed things. And I do think that is good for Lyeth, because a lot of the things that Lyeth does is if he rips tempo, a lot of your blues being 3 or greater cost is beneficial to you, because you go like Terra Sunder into something big with my tempo. And then I just carry tempo over and over, right? So you are kind of inclined to already play 3 or greater costed blues. This hammer does not restrict your blue pool nearly as much. So you can play a lot more 0 costed blues and not get punished with your weapon being like under efficient or inefficient comparative to if you played Terra Sunders, Buckles, 3 cost auras, etc.
Yeah.
Which again, Lyeth doesn't really benefit from playing big high cost attacks because their base power gets halved. So you get to play all like the Goon Beatdown, Goon Squad, all those cards, and that doesn't negatively affect your hammer anymore, which is good. Again, Lyeth's a hero I put like a lot of time into, and there's like a weird fringe world where he's like insanely playable at Nationals coming up, because with some of the new lightning heroes, having an extra card in your hand to get around arcane damage, a blue in your hand against arcane damage is not halved, right? If there's
your pitch value does not get halved.
So if there's 3 pings of 1 coming at you and you AB 3, okay, well now I have a 4-card hand. I'm just like kind of on the equivalent playing field of any other hero. He blocks weird value points very efficiently, and then gets to do unfair things on his turn as a result. So again, Am I saying I'm gonna play Lyeth at Nationals? Is this hammer like
You're
good enough
playing
to make the
Lyeth
deck
or Puffin at
cracked?
Nationals. I know who you are.
But yeah,
Or you're gonna just be like, I played Aurora because I figured out how to make it just a Viscerai deck.
maybe that's the thing, and that's ties in the episode nicely. Is like a lot of these cards that we're gonna be getting in this Weather season, we don't know if they're gonna be the nuts. We don't know if they're gonna be awful, or we don't know if they're gonna be side grades, or just like different ways to play heroes.
Or if they're just gonna be like, it fills out the pool for draft.
Yep. Speaking of which, this is gonna be the first new draft set since last September.
Wow.
And that was Super Slam, which was not.
And the last time we had a draft set, we had you on stream at the Call in Montreal. Is that what it was?
Don't remind me.
Oh no. Okay. Never mind.
I got gooned on stream, dude.
Yeah. No, I was there. I was like, I know that guy, and then I was like, oh, Carter. You opened fire in Gem Pack 3. I know that much, and then it went really downhill from there.
Dude, that game was so funny. But I mean, maybe I put that clip here somehow. But actually, you know what? That's probably like a YouTube short eventually. Be like, here's the first time I was ever on stream. But anyhow, We're excited for new cards. Omens of the Third Age. It's coming out in less than a month at this point, as Zach has confirmed. And, told me, because I'm great at keeping track of time.
Geography, dates, time, calendars.
I'm terrible at all of these. But without further ado, Zach, I think it's time to end off the episode.
Yep.
Thank you guys so much for watching. This has been an episode of Cast Oblivion. I am one of your hosts, Carter Barton, joined by...
I'm Zach. Thanks for being here, guys.
Zach Donahue. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you want to check out our channels, you can below. Both mine, Rebel, and Wraith, as well as Zach's.
Yep, mine is a Sigil of Something, and then I'm going to be doing a couple things with Omens release, especially around like the Ziggy Armory deck and some fun things with that. So
yeah,
it's going to be a fun little summer project as well. So
yep. So if you guys like content like this, make sure to subscribe to both channels as well as like the video. Leave a comment down below if you have any ideas for specific episode topics. If you guys have any feedback for this current episode, we really appreciate each and every one of you for helping us to create this content and reach out to the Flesh and Blood community. Without further ado, this has been an episode of Cast Oblivion. Thank you guys so much for watching. We'll see you in the next episode.